Mixing roguelite elements with the city building is a unique take, but does it hold up well? The question that the Ermite Games tried to answer to us in their new game Against the Storm, and they did some really good job here to be honest. The game has been in early access for some quite time, but officially launched on November 1st of 2022. So it's quite fresh game, quite amazing game I would say, and a very unique one. So before we start the review and we go into deep of why Against the Storm is really worth your time, I would like to check you on our sub control. Please show me your subscription. Well, if you're already subscribed, you can come in. If you're not, well, you can come in this time, but next time we hope that you're gonna have this check mark already on. Let's begin. Against the Storm is the roguelite strategy city builder game set in a dark fantasy world with revelating rain. You are the Scorched Queen's Viceroy, tasked to the various settlements for her. There are beavers, lizards, harpies, humans, and countless buildings to carry out on your city creation. Against the Storm has some really unique gameplay elements. Each map will start with the basic hearth, storage, and some units and access to the basic buildings. There will also be some resources nodes on the map. The nodes will be randomized for each map and each time. Every game will be unique as you will have to will and win it. One thing that's not here, there is nothing attacking in the city. The danger is the game is presented by the way of the storm. Game starts with the brief tutorial. It gives you the very access of the basics of how the things work in the game. And it's actually worth to mention that the tutorial is very good in the game. If you play and you try to understand everything that's going on and not trying to skip everything as quick as possible, by the end of the tutorial you'll be like, oh my god, let me do this now. Well, you will likely to play and lose first few games, but there is not much going on the tutorial that gives you a very basics. This is the typical simulation type of game with the nature that you need to learn with every time you play. But be prepared for it. In each round of Against the Storm, you will select a location on the map and try to create a settlement in it. Each location will offer different modifiers, benefits, and disadvantages. You can also select a few items that you can automatically start with. The fate of the game is to get the required amount of reputation points to satisfy the queen. At the same time, the queen will slowly become more irritated. If the queen reaches the max irritation, red bar in the game, before you reach max reputation, blue bar, the game will end up, and you will lose. But don't worry, you can start again. You can increase your reputation in 3 ways in the game. Workers resolve, competing orders, or explore and compete events. You will likely do the combination of these to reach your goal. But let's go over them briefly. You will have up to 3 different species in workers in the game, a combination of humans, beavers, lizards, and harpies. Each of these workers have a different needs and want to make them happy. Some of our are really small shaped, like a house or shelter, in order to fulfill the needs, to make them happy. You will need to produce as many different items so the different buildings in the workers' happiness. For example, creating some kind of a small shelter, they're living there, they're enjoying, they're doing the things for you, and yes, of course, your war going up. You will be required to branch out and expand our city with the various buildings, for example, also. Each day you will be rain circle, the diesel followed by a storm. And again, on each map there will be different benefits during the drizzle, with a harmful effect during the night storm. As the game progresses, the harmful effects will increase obviously. Sometimes you can do various things to combat these harmful effects, but sometimes you cannot. As extreme effects, you can lose workers and even buildings, so it's worth paying attention to. During the nightly storm, as well as the various other debuffs, the workers resolve and can be quite low. If it reaches 0 or less, you have the chance to start losing characters. This can happen quite rapidly and really mess everything of you things that you planned. As the game progresses, and at certain intervals will unlock the ability to pick our order. There are random objectives that will be required and delivered to the queen. They can be easy or sometimes quite complicated in the early parts of the game when you don't have much unlocked for the character resolves. These orders will be important to progression. If you pick some really hard ones early on, your game may seriously suffer. I had several games where the things were just frozen and I couldn't unlock any buildings because I could pick up the hardly objects. Tread wisely. This one can be tricky. You need to woodcutters to create the paths of your various things in order to get all these kind of resources. This is one very interesting thing. This event may require you to deliver certain items or just hold your workers to work on them. During the time that the cursed event is being worked, you will usually hit some pretty nasty debuffs like 50 resolves a minute or food of item storage perish every 20 seconds. If you just leave these items, you don't work on them. The cursed events for some time because even worse. You will not have access to all buildings at the same time. You will need to pick up and choose from a list of random buildings where you reach reputation milestones. There's lots of different types of buildings in the game. Picking poorly can seriously increase your chances of losing the game. If you're trying to focus on improving characters, resolve, and don't have a building, that can produce the building procedure. Every so often you will release a Concentrol event from the Queen. These events also rely greatly with the different each time you play. These are usually some kind of perk, bonus, that can change the entire course of how you play and how you see from them. There is a whole article somewhere on the internet devoted to the traders section. Yes, it is a very important thing. As you continue to level up, you will gain access to the training posts that will allow you to have a trader Kardashian stop. It offers you to the purchasing items including the occasionally corner stops and the city building blueprints. This is also a great way to get some additional resources in your city